Here on the screen here, this isn't an image I've taken. This is a stock image that I've got here, purely just to demonstrate something that I wanted to show you yesterday. And you'd think with this on here, when we're going to do a cutout, you'd think, well, that's going to be really easy. You would expect the technology that we've got already in Photoshop and have had for some time to be able to manage no problems whatsoever with this, because we've got great contrast between the background and this woman's red hair here, and we can see all these fine hairs. So let's just have a quick look, and then I'll kind of show you maybe one little thing that you can do that could maybe improve the selection as well, or the cutout. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to go over to select and mask. I've got one of my selection tools active at the minute, doesn't matter which one. I've got the lasso tool selected, and that just means that in the options bar at the top of the screen, I get the option for select and mask. So we'll do that. And at the moment you can't see anything, and that's because over on the right hand side here, where we've got the view mode, one of the ones I like to use here out of all the ones we have available to us is onion skin. All right, so you can see here, I've got onion skin selected. Transparency is up to 100%, but if I bring it down, you'll start to see her appearing just there. So when I'm doing cutouts, this is the first kind of place that I head to. And I'll generally get the transparency when I'm using the onion skin, just so I can see her coming through like so there. Then I'll come to the top left-hand corner. The technology we've got nowadays, we've got this select subject, but rather than just tick on it as it is there or press down on it there as it is, I'm going to open up the menu at the side here and just give it the best possible chance of the best possible selection. All right, so we're going to use the cloud to do that. Get the Adobe service to take a look at it and see what result they can give. So I'll click on Cloud Detailed Results and then click on Select Subject. That'll take a few seconds or so, depending on your internet speed, and wallop, there you go. Got quite a good selection already, or it looks really good as it is. Let's just take the transparency all the way up now so that we've got a complete view. And I'm going to zoom in just a second. And you can see here, look, yes, it's got great, as you would expect, great selection of the hair around the top here, all these loose flyaway hairs, but there are some bits that we definitely wouldn't want to include. And that's where we can see the background coming through parts of the hair. So obviously now we wouldn't want those with it being a grey background, because if we're going to put into a different coloured background or have some kind of sky behind her, those areas are going to really stand out. So the next thing I'm going to do then at this particular stage here is I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner, going to get the top tool here, going to go to minus, and all I'm going to do is just use my right and left square bracket keys to brush over any areas of the hair where I see the background coming through. And it looks a bit brutal as I'm doing that, but that's fine. This actual software here is going to kind of learn what it is that I want to actually get selected by me doing this. So we'll come over on the side here, get rid of the grey on that part. And also just this little bit by her finger. And this kind of little awkward little bit right underneath her index finger just in there. So that's all the background now disappeared from around her hair. Then I'm going to come to the Refine Edge Mask tool, make sure that it's set into the plus. And then what I'll do is I'll just start to brush around the hair like so, just to see now if it can pick those areas that I want up. And the great thing is, for the most part, it will now pick up the hair, but disregard that grey background. So you can see here, look, although it's a little bit transparent at the moment, can you see now, look how it's not picking up the grey in between the hair like it did before. And that's because I've kind of told it I don't want that when I did that removing part just before this. Then we've done the Refine Edge Mask tool and it's gone, right, I know what you don't want. Now let's see what I can pick up. And I think this seems to work better for me. Everyone uses this differently, but it seems to work better for me. When I use a brush, as I'm using this, I'm kind of always make sure that it overlaps onto the hair. A lot of people that use this will kind of be very slapdash with it. They'll get a big brush and just brush all over like crazy. I've always found I get better results, like over on the side here. If I just have a decent sized brush and I brush over partially on the hair that's there so that it kind of learns, and then I kind of brush over to the area where I know there's other hair to be picked up on. So something like this. And then release, and then up here and release, like so. So that's not looking too bad at the minute. There are obviously some areas where it's not looking good, like we're losing the finger there at the minute. So what I could do there potentially is come in, use some tools over on the side here. Could even get the lasso tool and just come in and make a very loose selection around that finger. It doesn't have to be accurate at this stage because what we're going to do next. And then kind of come around here and then just complete that loop and it'll include it like so. So that's where we are at the moment. Now, next thing I'll do then, we've got this refine hair. Let's just see what that'll do first of all. I'll click on refine hair. Not bad. Let's put it on a different background as well. Let's put it onto a white background to make things even clearer. There we go. Now over on the right hand side as well, we've got this refine mode. By default, when we use this, it's going to be set into the object aware. But it's always worth jumping from object aware to color aware to see if you do get a better result. So I'm going to try that now. Keep an eye on the actual hair here. Let's just see if we do get a better result. I'll click on color aware. And yeah, definitely picks up more hair. That is definitely better. This is object aware. See if it'll change back. Color aware. Much, much better. So then once I've done that, let's just see if clicking refine hair will do us an even better job. That's actually not looking bad at all. We can then come in. We've then got over the right-hand side here some more sliders that we can use that can help us to make this selection better. The only problem here is, or the only, not problem, the only challenge here is to try and make the hair look good by moving these sliders here to increase the radius. But the danger there is that any sharp edges that we have, any defined areas within this selection, like on her hand and her clothing, they can also be affected. So it's very much a trade-off how far you push these when you're actually trying to pick up more hair. So always have your second eye looking down at the rest of the picture to make sure you're not ruining it there. But let's give it a go. We'll take up the radius first of all. Let's start to bring it up. Take it a little bit, pause and what have you. A little bit playing around in there is going on a bit funny. Let's just go to smart radius. See if that helps us out. I might just use that refine edge mask tool just to brush that into this area just down here and see what that'll do for us. That's better. There we go. So once you've done this, even though you've played around with these sliders, you can still jump back to those tools that you've just been using to see if you can pick up any more. But even now, that looks really good. It's not taken that long to get it to look as good as it possibly is. Let's have a look at the mask view. And you can see here, look, that's looking good. Looking really good. All those fine hairs, look there. Look at that, how it's picked all those up. So what I'll do now is I'm going to send this from the select and mask. Let's send it back now into the main Photoshop workspace. And when I do, we've got this output 2 section at the bottom. And I'm going to choose to use that as a layer mask, so non-destructive, so we can send it back into Photoshop's workspace just there. And I will put a background underneath that. The way I can do that quickly, rather than me click to add a mask and drag it underneath, what I can do is just hold down the Command key and then click on the plus to add a layer. That then puts it directly beneath anyway. I'm going to put a white background in, nice and simple. My white is my foreground color in the toolbar, so I can just press Command on my Mac and backspace, and that'll fill that in. And you see, even then, look, when we added the background in, because there's something solid behind her, that then improves the actual selection. Look, if I turn it off and turn it on, already that starts to actually improve it. But just quickly, look, if I've got this one here, and you think, well, there are bits where we could maybe improve it. Look what happens when we do something really simple, and that is just duplicate what we've just done, okay? So I'm actually on the cutout layer just here. If I just hold down the Command key on Mac or Control key on Windows and just duplicate this by pressing J, keep an eye on her hair, see what happens. Look how much better that is. So let's turn that off. There's before and there's after. So it's doubling up on what we've done, and that's looking really, really good. So I would then put both of these into a group, both of these layers here, which make up this great selection and cutout. New group from layers. We'll call it cutout. And we can obviously then kind of do what we want with it. You can move it around and what have you, but a really, really good cutout. So it's just something simple I wanted to show there, which I didn't get a chance to show yesterday during the selections class. However, one thing that is to do with selections, but is also fitting into this particular class when we're talking about the new Photoshop workflow, as I'm calling it, is what I want to show you now. And if I just close this image down, I'm going to open up an image that if you've been to, I think it might have been in the last Photoshop World Conference that we had, which is a year ago. Scary how quick that time's gone. But I'll just open up this image here. You'll probably recognize this image here because I showed a number of different ways that I would use to do a cutout on this particular image. And when I did it, I mean, the original image is on this grey background again, but it's just incredible how challenging it is to get a good selection on these loose flyaway hairs. And I think the real reason for that is because when you look at them, and I don't know how this is looking as this is streaming out to you, these loose hairs here are more towards the back of the person's head. So they're slightly soft, slightly out of focus. And that's where the challenge is. If you're asking Photoshop to make really accurate selections of something that's out of focus, you're asking a lot of it, certainly at the moment anyway. So that's probably why it challenges there. Anything that's nice and contrasty and sharp, it'll have no issues with whatsoever. But when I showed how to do the cutout of this, there was loads of different ways that I did it. We looked at using brushes to fake the look of hair. I think at one of them I actually used somebody else's hair from another picture and brought that in. So there's lots and lots of different ways of doing it. There's not just one perfect way of doing it. However, this AI stuff, it's kind of got me thinking. Let's face it, it ain't going to go away. So we either embrace it or potentially we start to get a little bit stagnant. I think we could use it certainly in very effective ways, not to do huge tasks, but like I said yesterday, to do things that are tedious, let's just say slightly tedious and are taking us away from doing the creative stuff. So how could I potentially, this is something I want you to think about, could this be a new workflow, a new mindset when we're doing compositing, when we're cutting things out? Let me show you what I mean. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the mask and we can see here that it's active because we've got this white frame around it. I'm going to get my brush, just a normal round brush with a black foreground colour. And rather than me slogging away trying to pick up all these fine hairs, what I'm going to do is just brush these hairs here on the side away. I'm going to get rid of them completely because I haven't got the time. I've got other things to do. I don't want to be spending all my time at the computer trying to get this hair selection when really it's never going to look all that good. It's just not going to work. So what I'll do is I'll just remove it like so. Okay, then what I'll do is let's just put a layer underneath this. So at least we've got a different kind of background. So we'll just go underneath. Actually, let's just go to this. We'll go to layer, new fill layer, and I'll just add a color, solid color. Won't bother giving it a name, and we'll just choose the color from in here. Let's go for something really razzle dazzle. Let's go for this. There we go. Something like that. There you go. All right. So go for that. And actually as well, what I'll also do is I'm going to get my elliptical marquee tool and just drag out a circle. So we can kind of say he's got a background behind him, which I can change the color of that any time. But let's give him a bit of a light behind him as well. So there's my elliptical marquee tool selection just in there. I'll go to levels, and then what I can do, that's looking a bit big, isn't it? Let's just drag that back in so it looks normal. And then what I'll do is I'll just brighten that up a little bit. And then I'll come to the masking section in the top left and we'll just feather it off. There we go, just to soften it down. So we've got like a little bit of a light going on behind. I can even get my move tool and drag that around and reposition it if I want to. So something like that. So this is where the new mindset I think could possibly be coming in, because I'm going to be working on a new compositing series soon. And I know I'm going to be doing a lot of hair cutting out. And I'm thinking, do I do the cutouts of the hair right at the start and then get on with the compositing? Or do I leave it right to the very end and it almost be one of the last things that I do before I do my colour grading? Who knows? This could be the new workflow when it comes to compositing. Because what I would now do at this stage here, let's just zoom in. I'll get my, let's just close that. I'll get my lasso tool and I'll make a selection around this area here. A little squiggly line, and I'll bring it down onto the shoulder a little bit and I'll bring it up the side of the hair here, just overlapping the hair like so. So that's one side. I'll hold down my shift key and I'll make another selection on the other side. Again, overlapping the hair. We'll come down and I'll bring it out to say there. Then we've got the degenerative fill. So I'll go to here, click on that, and in here I'm going to type, what should we type? Let's just put in long wavy hair. And let's just see what this gives us. I'm not even going to tell it the color that it needs to be. The AI is intelligent enough to look at this and go, right, what are we overlapping? What's in the image? This is what it needs to be. It's really clever stuff. So we'll click on generate, give that roughly 10 to 12 seconds, something like that. And let's just see what it comes up with. Is it something we could use? It might be rubbish, first of all. In fact, it's not rubbish, but it might not be exactly what we're after. But look, you get some, that's not very good. Maybe not that one there. So let's just do another generate. Let's click on that again just to see what it gets. But this is to give you the idea that maybe this is a new approach that we could possibly use. I don't know. I'm certainly going to be using it in my new Vikings. Oh, now that one, yeah, I'm kind of liking that. That one's good. Second one's looking good. Brian May from Queen in his heyday. Look at that one there. And then we've got that one there. So that one there I'm kind of liking. Yeah. All right. That's looking pretty cool. So when it comes to this AI thing, what you're not going to notice here when we do add in this extra kind of hair is it's really clever because obviously it's picking up on the colour of the hair and the kind of style of the hair, which is really, really good. But what it's also doing, this new latest model, we're on model 3 at the moment when it comes to this, what it's also doing is replicating the actual lighting within the scene. And you can't really see it on this picture here because it's very frontal kind of lighting. But let me just open up another image just to show you, or hopefully show you, how I can demonstrate what I mean here. So I'll go back to my folder. Let's go to this one, and I'll just open this image here, which I showed yesterday, but I'll just quickly get this to the position where I want to show what I need to show. Right, let's do that. I'll open this up, and yeah, don't worry about cropping it or whatever. All right, so let's say here. Now you can see here we've got a definite directional light in this image. We've got a light source coming in from over this side, which is the main light source. We've also got this little bit of a kicker light coming in from over on the high on the left. And you can just see that little bit of reflection it's causing onto the side of my mate's head here. This is my friend Anthony, who hopefully we won't be seeing this because of what's going to happen now. Let's just say that I want to put some hair on him. All right. I'm going to get my lasso tool and I'm just going to make a loose selection coming down here and just kind of follow the shape that I think it would be, like that maybe. Coming up here. This is going to be really interesting to see what this comes up with. And like I say, I don't think he's going to see this, so I am safe. Right, let's just click on generative fill, and all I'm going to do is just put in hair. There's lots of other different permutations and words and stuff I could put in, but just for now, let's just put in hair, because hopefully this will come up with something that shows what I mean about the AI, not only adding in the correct colour, although be interesting to see what it chooses here, but it can also replicate the lighting. Right, let's have a look. Well, yeah, okay. You'd maybe want to... That's a better one. Now, can you see here? It's very, very coiffured, isn't it? But can you see how over on the right-hand side, it's added all of this extra hair in here, over on the left-hand side, all the way on the side to the top and down here. But the way it's replicated the lighting on it, it's not added in bright hair on the top of his head regardless. It's actually put it in and the lighting is mimicked on this side to match the original lighting, as you can see just here. So that's just really, really clever stuff that you'd potentially overlook that you wouldn't think of.